Hello, welcome to our first programming video for the Wi-Fi clock. Today I'm going to be going over pretty much all of the functions we have in our Wi-Fi clock starter file on our GitHub. So if you go to our website, you can just click on this link at the bottom with the little, this is called the Octocat, that's their logo, and it'll bring you to our GitHub. Click on Wi-Fi clock. And here's our code repository, and I'll show you how to get this. So in this we have two folders. So we have Arduino, which we haven't really done much with yet. We'll have stuff up there soon. And we have Micropython. So you click on this, it'll bring you, you see there's a Wi-Fi clock starter.py and a main.py. So you can click on those and view them on GitHub, or let me show you how to clone them. So if you click on this, copy, well actually let me do it this way. Click on this and download zip. So just save that wherever you want. So this file saved to my downloads folder. So I'm going to right click on it and click on extract all, show and complete. And you can see here are the files I was showing you before, Micropython, Arduino. We're going to go into Micropython, click on Wi-Fi clock starter. Now I want to open a command prompt in this folder or directory. I'm going to click on this bar up here, so it highlights this text, and then type cmd, and that opens a command prompt in that directory. You can see the path here. So now I'm going to just close out of that, and move this over. Okay. So now if I type dir, I can see the files that are in this directory. We have a main.py and we have a Wi-Fi clock starter.py. I want to send these files to this Wi-Fi clock board here. And to do that, I'm going to use a program called Ampy, A-M-P-Y. If you don't know what that is, make sure to go to our website and check out our how to install. Let me just go to guides. How to install Micropython on the ESP8266, and that's in the requirements section. You have to install Ampy using this. So just follow this guide. It'll explain how to install Ampy and Micropython and everything. So we use Ampy. We're going to do -p, so that's for port. We are going to go to device manager to find the port. So the port is basically like, how do we tell Ampy where to send the data? So we're going to go to device manager by just typing that into the search thing down there. And we're going to go and open, actually let me move it on my other monitor. Bigger, so you can see ports, COM, and LPT. Click on that, and you can see two ports there. I'm going to unplug the clock and then plug it in again. Okay, and you can see that after I plugged it in, this COM10 showed up. So this device we're going to reference by putting COM10 here. So you can close out of this, go back to the terminal here, or the command prompt, and just type COM all caps 10. Okay, so the next parameter we just do -b to specify baud rate, and we're just going to type 115200 every time. Now we need to put a command of what we want to do. So we want to put a file on this board. So we're going to do space put. And if we want to put main.py on, we just type main.py and hit enter. And main.py is on. Now I'm just going to put on the other file and hit up to redo the last command. Delete that and just replace it with Wi-Fi clock. Hit enter again. This one's going to take a little longer because it's a much bigger file. And it's on. So we're ready to go. So now we can start programming. So to do this, we need to install a program called Putty. So again, I explained how to do this in our how to install Micropython ESP8266 guide. This is in the requirements section. Just go to their website here, download Putty here, download for what you need. So I would download this and install it from there. Let me just go back. And I'm going to launch Putty. So you can either type Putty in here. I have it on my taskbar. And to connect, you will want to enter, again, the port, which we found to be, or sorry, first you want to enter, click on this button to specify serial. Then you write the port that we found before. So for me, that was COM10. And the speed, again, it's 115200. And you click open. And you can see we have a terminal here, and we got these arrows. So I'm actually going to close out of this, and I'm going to open another session where I increase the font size so you can see it. So you can actually save a session too. So I can save, here, let me load this. So these are the same parameters before, and I just named it Wi-Fi clock and hit save, and that saves it here. So I can just double click on this, and that opens this for me. So here's a much bigger one. Just put it up there. And when you get these arrows, that's a good thing. It means that you have opened what's called a REPL, and a REPL is like what you can send commands and then see the output on your device with. So I'm gonna hit Control D to do a soft reboot just to make sure everything's okay, and you can see we're ready to go. So the tab key is very important in this REPL, so I'm gonna hit it right now. You can see we already have something called Wi-Fi clock, and that is because in our main file here, so I should say this, when the microcontroller turns on with Micropython, it first looks for a file called boot.py. I didn't put a boot.py file on here, so it's not going to run that. But then it looks for a file called main.py, so it's automatically running this. So it ran through this line where it imports Wi-Fi clock from our Wi-Fi clock starter file, and then it declared a Wi-Fi clock object and called it Wi-Fi clock. And that's why we have a variable Wi-Fi clock here. So we can use this to interact with our device. So for example, if I want to turn on the red LED, I can do Wi-Fi clock, hit dot, and again hit tab, and you can see all these different variables and functions appear. There's a lot of stuff, and I'm gonna hopefully add a guide tonight or tomorrow that kind of lists out what all of these do, so you guys can use that for reference. But you can see here we have something called, where is it? Red LED right here. So if you do Wi-Fi clock.redLED dot value, and then set that value to 1, you can see the red LED just turned on. And then if I set it to 0, it'll turn off. So of course you can do that with all the different colored LEDs. So with the green LED, you can just do green, set it to 1, and then set it to 0 to turn it off. And of course blue, LED dot value, and 1. And again, to redo the past commands, I'm just hitting up arrow, so it adds the last command in, and I can just edit that and turn that off. So that really kind of shows off why Micropython's so great, is that you can kind of really quickly test things and see the output right in front of you, and it's great. I'm going to now show you how to connect to Wi-Fi and actually get time on here. And I'll go over how to do this before, but I just want to show you how to do this so you can get up and running right away if that's what you want to do. So to do this, you're going to have to use a couple commands. First is wifi-clock set time. So we have two set time functions. You can see we have set time and set time underscore NTP. So set time, you just manually set a time. Set time NTP connects to a server and pulls the time from there, so it's very accurate. But to do that, we first have to connect to Wi-Fi. So we have another command called connect to Wi-Fi, and you can connect to Wi-Fi by doing this. So first you enter in your Wi-Fi ID. So if mine's called, my Wi-Fi, just enter that, and your password as a string. So I'll do, let's just say it's password. And if you enter that, that's not my Wi-Fi, so I'm not going to enter that. But if you enter that, it'll connect to Wi-Fi, and you should get a, it should say connected after you're done. And then you can go ahead and do this command, so wifi-clock set time NTP. And then you need to put your UTC offset. So if you don't know what that is, just search UTC time. UTC time. And you can see right now it is 3:17 a.m. So if I look at my clock, it says it's 10:17 p.m. And so I can tell that I'm 5 hours behind UTC time, so that means my parameter would be -5. So enter this, and you see we get this output here. This is kind of confusing. I recommend you just ignore it. Don't try to compare this to your time. It's just going to confuse you. If you look at the functions, look at the code, look at exactly what it's doing, it'll make sense, but just don't try to make sense of this as it is right here. So now I just need to make it display on the clock. So all I need to do is do wifi-clock dot start clock 24, enter, and you can see the clock updated. So now it says it's 22:18:36. So yep, that's the time here. So 22 is 10 on a 24-hour clock. So yeah, that's how you set up the Wi-Fi clock the simplest way. It's really just 3 functions. Connect to Wi-Fi, wifi-clock.connect to Wi-Fi, wifi-clock.setTime NTP, and wifi-clock.start clock 24. So the last thing I want to go over in this video is, okay, so we can start the clock using this serial console here. But what if we wanted to, the clock to just do all this on its own when we powered it on? So to do that, we're going to want to add more lines to this main.py file on the clock itself. So remember, when we plug this in, by default, the first thing it does, it looks for a boot.py. We don't have one on there. Then looks for a main.py and executes that. So it's the first thing it does when you power it on right now is execute this file, these 2 lines. That's why we see Wi-Fi clock here immediately. So that means if we add these lines we just executed there to this file, it should just automatically get the time and start the clock. So let's just do that and see what it does. So I'm going to open a text editor. I would recommend Visual Studio Code. Emphasis on code. You will probably regret it if you just download Visual Studio. Just make sure you do Visual Studio Code, unless you really want to use Visual Studio. I'm going to do File, Open Folder, and I'm going to go to this Wi-Fi clock starter. And so you can see we have these 2 files here, main.py, Wi-Fi clock starter. So here's what's in Wi-Fi clock starter. There's all the functions we made for this device. We're just going to go to main.py for now. And all you really want to do here is add these commands that we've just did. So that's what's kind of nice is about Micropython. You can just experiment and then add them in your main file. So first thing I want to do is, you shouldn't need to do this actually, but I'm going to just write it in and comment it out anyway, just so if it doesn't work for you guys know what to do. You just do wifi-clock, just wifi-clock dot connect to Wi-Fi, and remember it's just my Wi-Fi, so that's the name of my Wi-Fi network as I connect to it, anything else, and then password. Okay, so I'm not going to execute that because it should stay connected. It should know to connect to that Wi-Fi now, but we'll see. And then the second thing I need to do is wifi-clock dot set time NTP. Remember we're -5 for East Coast. Then we want to do wifi-clock dot start clock 24, and that should start up the clock. So now I'm just going to unplug the clock and then plug it in. You should always, I found it's, if you want to get it consistently to upload with AMPI, before you try using AMPI, just unplug your device and plug it in, preferably with the USB at your computer side, because micro USB is kind of, they tend to fail if there are too many plugs and unplugs. So I plugged it and plugged it in. I'm going to do AMPI and just put this updated main file. Make sure to save it before you do this. It's uploaded. So now, if I unplug it and plug it in, it should just start the clock. Well, let's see what happens. So I'm just going to hit the reset button. It's the button on the back, on the microcontroller above the USB port. And let's just give it a second. And there's a couple of reasons it might fail at this. It could, for some reason, not get the data, and it could not be connected to the Wi-Fi, but I'm going to hit reset again. Let's see. There we go. So yeah, if that doesn't work, maybe you'd put this in a loop and just check the output, or you can just hit reset a couple of times. I'll probably upload some more example code on the GitHub with the loop in place. But yeah, feel free to experiment with this and all the other functions on there. I think I'm going to end the video here, and now you know how to set up the Wi-Fi clock. But yeah, I'll put more programming videos and guides out soon that explain all of these. Let me just go back here. These other functions here. There's still a lot of stuff here we haven't done. So yeah, look out for those, and thank you for watching, and I'll see you then.